Alright, well, I guess I will pull the carb off. Either that or I'll look for a different one. Yeah. I'll be back with what I figure out I'm going to do. Either look for a cheap one that's used and works, or if I'm going to tear this one apart. I'll give you a little inside note. I'm not good with carbs. I got my carb rebuild kit because it was leaking. Float was sticking and it was draining out the side of the bowl. I got the carb off and I'm going to do a time lapse on tearing this apart, but I was spraying the car with ether and it didn't start. It just it sounded like it was going to go, but I figured I would see if it'd start on ether, and it didn't. I pulled the plug out, rolled it over, and there's no spark. So I got a new set of points at a buddy's house I'm going to go run and get. I'm going to do a time lapse on the carb rebuild, and we'll see what it goes from there. Alright guys, that's probably the second carb I've ever rebuilt in my life, and I don't enjoy it. Sorry, I'm getting in the light. I threw in a set of points on the old car. Seems like it's sparking now, so I didn't get that on camera. It was quite a nightmare. My hands are huge. So I was messing around down there by the distributor and oil filter right next to each other, trying to get the points set out, and yeah, I dropped the little screw that held it, I don't know how many times. So tomorrow I'm gonna try to get this thing running off a jug, so I'll probably just link that to this video right here. Alright, so I'm back working on the Valiant, and I've been messing with this carb and the points for most of the week. Changed my fuel setup, put it into the factory lift pump. From my research now, these Holley 1920s are pretty much the most hated carb in all of Mopar. I thought I had it. When they sent me the kit, they sent me a different needle and seat, which was different. The one I had was like an encaged deal, and the shut length of it was different than the needle and seat that they sent me, which is like a traditional actual needle and then the seat. I had this in there originally. It seemed like it was flooding out, and it still seems to be flooding out. It run fine at like 2,000 RPM or on choke, it'll run fine, but after you warm it up, then it just doesn't want to run unless you like blip the throttle. Let me get a good, hopefully you can see it. The plugs are wet, brown, and they're brand new. They're brown like it's running fat, and you can see fuel piling in on top of the throttle blade too, but it's none of my idle enrichments really do anything, and I'm kind of baffled at it. I had a weird symptom where it was the points, but it backfire and blow fire through the carb, and then another time I shut it off and it was dieseling for like 10 seconds after I pulled the cable off, and it just sat there, pop, 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 you know, just coughing and dieseling. And the dwell on my points were not in spec. I just set it to basically I threw it on there and said, yep, it's in spec, which is like 13 thousandths up to 24, 25. I just threw 25 in there, figured it was good enough. Well, I actually had to bend the points set that I had, because it didn't want to dwell long enough on the rotor of the point setup. Well, I don't know where my old points are. This is probably all foreign to a lot of people. Nobody really messes with points anymore, but basically I think factory setting on dwell is like 45 degrees, which is how long the points stay in contact with each other. So I got that figured out, but this carb's really kicking my butt. I don't really do much with carbs, and it just seems like, I don't know, it's being more complicated than it needs to be. But as far as I have heard, this is pretty much, like I said, the most hated carb in all of Mopar. Everybody, I guess, swears by the Carters that they also use in this era. There's a Carter BBS. There's also a 2-barrel. And you can get an aftermarket 4-barrel, but trying not to really spend a whole lot of money on this thing. My buddy has a late 80s or 80s engine out of a Dodge pickup that the intakes will swap, and he told me I could have it if I need it. So I might end up doing that. Sorry for all this awkward, I'm just trying to get this plug back in. So I'm really hoping just get this carb working, but it's kicking my butt. I'll show you guys what it runs like right now. Let me get my don't buy cheap ratchets, kids. Let me set this down. Okay, hopefully I can get you guys a listen on it before this camera dies, because it's about ready to. What? It's warmed up. It just won't idle. So I'll probably edit this all into one video, and then I guess we'll carry on in the next video on what I figure out on it. I appreciate you guys watching. Sorry it wasn't more exciting. I kind of figured I'd have trouble rebuilding the carb, and here it is. So I'm sure we'll figure something out, or we'll put a different intake and carb setup on it. Either way, it don't really scare me. And if that causes us too much trouble, then we'll be pulling it out and putting a 5.3 in it. So I appreciate you guys viewing this video. Hopefully you guys are having fun watching this. Hopefully you guys are working on something. And like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.